you can erase with different solutions your drawings. So again, also picking the right rubber can help you out in achieving different drawings. What are we using the pencil for? The pencil is mostly used to set up a drawing, to set up a design, to set up a layout. Here you can see, this is again from the famous artist course, how a drawing can be set up with the pencil. You can go back on your step, you can erase, redraw this figure that was maybe really difficult, and then in a subsequent step try to define all the different parts of the drawing. So it's probably the mother instrument of drawing, because it allows you to go back and work with different pressures and shading in setting up your drawing. But pencil can be also the final instrument of your artworks. For example, this is a drawing by the art duo Martinet and Texereau, two French artists that work on urban spaces and objects. And this drawing was done all by pencil with tiny strokes and different layering as to achieve this result, three-dimensional result. So pencil is not just an instrument to set up your drawings, but also can be the final instruments of your drawings. If you decide to use it as the final instrument, remember to spray something on it, because with time the graffiti can spoil, and just the drawing can be spoiled in a few years. This again is an Italian comic book artist called Paolo Cattaneo that some years ago did this comic book totally drawn with a micromine. So he drawn, you see, it is a pattern. All the trees and the vegetation is done with tiny strokes. As you can see, he used different kind of techniques. Employs just one in the pressure and the texture that he was using. About ink, that is most of the time on the pencil with ink. There are different kinds of ink. The first one, classic synthetic with ink. Pens, you can find them in art supply shops. There are also the Stadlers. This kind of so with water you can spoil it. Is not so resistant if you use a lot of work well on paper, but is still a good entry level if you want to do ink drawings. As you can see, this pencil, you cannot variate too much the thickness of the line, since you have to buy a different pen for each thickness you want to do. So this is something to keep. Again, the art shop, you can just buy you can change, and it is really analogical way and vernacular way of doing it, just putting the metal nib in the ink. We saw that with the pressure of the pen on paper, we can achieve different kind of lines. As you can see, the point. Two parts. The moment you press it, more or less ink can come out of the pen. We have, really tiny nibs, big nibs to do, but the good part about this kind of pens is that you buy really China ink, thick, black, deep China ink, original one, not synthetic one of Felty pens, and the ink that you put on paper with these pens is really real ink. You can go on it with pencils, you can try to erase it, but the black you can achieve with this kind of pens is totally another thing. And it is the same with the technical pencils like the Rotring mechanical pencils, where instead of having, few fuel inside the pen that at a certain point finishes, with mechanical pencils you can just recharge the tiny thing inside and use real China ink to get perfect lines with different thickness, like the one that we saw before. We already saw some of this stuff, but with the nibs you can achieve different kind of strokes, and obviously you can use also the brush to ink. So again, there are different kinds of patterns that you can create. Some examples: illustrator and comic book artist Charles Barnes. In this illustration is really interesting because he did this. The background is totally made of a thick black ink, and then he added on top of it a white pencil to achieve these clouds in the sky. And then he went on with a marker, kind of acrylic marker, to do the raindrops. And the same with this mouth that is screaming and the shading on the neck of the two figures. The rest of the drawing was all performed with ink. So a brush that he allowed him to achieve this kind of strokes that are really classic comic book style. But as you can see, different techniques can coexist in drawings. Then we have Apollonia St. Clair. She's doing this kind of sexual illustrations in a way. But as you can see from this drawing, she worked a lot on the dots and the texture to give materiality to the skin of the woman, but also here the skirt is and the pattern on the skirt is a reiteration of different lines of ink, always with the same thickness, but performed in a perfect way as to achieve a three-dimensional result. Then we have some colors. Again, really fast, we can see it. We have the horrible colors, like the super cheap ones. There are the Giotto in Italy. They're pretty famous. They're really cheap. They usually are employed by kids to draw on their books. And but we have also more qualitative Felty pens, like the Studio01. They have a thinner nib and allow you to do some calligraphy and nicer stuff. But I mean, horrible colors can be used also in nice ways. Like, for example, this artist that is doing drawings with the Giotto colors, really cheap, but achieving, in my opinion, a nice result. And then we have the pro markers. So the markers, the Pantone colors, they're alcohol-based colors. They're really qualitative. These are the Winsor & Newton. In the past, they were the Letraset. There are the Copic colors. If you go to Vertecchi, you will see that there are different kind of brands. They cost a lot. Each pen is like, I don't know, 3 or 4 euros, but the results can be surprising if you know how to use them. spoiler, I don't know how to use them. I used it really a few times, and it's not my cup of tea, but if you know how to use them, you can achieve great results. And this is an example, illustrator Felicia Ciao, I think she's Portuguese, and she does these analog drawings that are amazing because she employs ink to base and with pencil, then ink to do all the outlines and the strokes of the drawings, and then she uses Copic markers to layer the drawing in order to achieve this kind of results. So if you know how to use them, the results with the Pro markers can be really satisfying. Then we have the classic colored pencils. My tip is always to buy few colored pencils, single one of good quality, instead of buying a huge box of a lot of pencils, of which some of them you will never use them. So you will see in the art supplies shop, they also sell them singular piece. Some other references: Lorenzo Mattotti, Italian illustrator, probably the most famous Italian illustrator alive. She just did the poster for the. He just did the poster for the Venice Film Festival. Again, pencil works better when you layer it, and Mattotti is the master of doing that. Use different kinds of pencil. You can see the skin. There are different tones coexisting within it. Also the hair. I mean, using pencil in a smart way can let you achieve really great results. Something different does Antonio Pronostico. He uses really soft colored pencils. They're like kind of crayons in a way, and he does these drawings where he really draws in a hard way on the paper as to achieve this kind of crayon effect with colored pencils, and he also mixes them as to achieve this kind of shading in the drawings, this gradient in colors. And it really depends on the quality of the colored pencils that he uses. Then we have watercolors that we will be using throughout this course. I suggest you to buy just 3 colors: the yellow, the cyan, and red or magenta, and the black. Sorry, 4 colors. And we will be using that. We will do some watercolors, and is I think for me a fantastic instrument to color or to draw. And obviously, also in this case, it really depends on the thickness of the brush and for the different textures that you can create. And again, some examples: Cedric Price doing these natural drawings of a tree and a pond. It's just a drawing with a small base in pencil, and then directly with watercolors. Or Kelly Mary Beeman, she's an illustrator that works mostly in using watercolor just to fill a drawing. So if you work in a precise way with watercolor, you can achieve this kind of result where the color is really flat and homogeneous, but still having this grain of natural grain that I think is fantastic. Then we have gouache colors, acrylic colors. The main feature of this kind of colors is that they cover what you draw below. So the moment if watercolor works with transparency, so in adding up layers and showing also what you did before, gouache and acrylic colors work with opaque colors. So you do the base and then you draw on it, and if you want to do something white on top of it, you can do it because it's opaque and will be covering the drawing. This is Joan Cornellà, Spanish illustrator, and this is one of his artworks. Just to finish, digital drawing. digital drawing is convey all these kind of materials and techniques in digital. So if you explore Photoshop's brushes, Procreate brushes, you will see that inside there is all the stuff that we talked about. There are pencils, ink, crayons, any kind of stuff. You can do literally anything with digital drawing except from having an original. And that's the great stuff about working with analog mediums, that you have original drawing, something that you can really touch and feel. And in digital, you cannot have, because you work in digital and you have to print it. And if you print it in a poor way, you lose all the colors. So it is an instrument, but in this course, we mostly work with analog instruments, especially on your notebook. Obviously, for the exam, you can do digital drawings, but in developing the project, we work mostly with analog instruments. So it's 12:30. I think we're over. I don't know if you have any questions or doubts about drawing materials, but I'd leave you to the lunch, and we'll see you next week on time, 9 o'clock. We will see the, I will put the assignments on a Classroom, so you can deliver your texture booklet. Take good photos of it, so we can, so I can see them. And yeah, that's it. Do you have any questions? The time that we are saving today, please dedicate it to think about your theme and visit art supplies shops and explore if there are some materials that you enjoy working with. Please. No, watercolor will be totally analogical. So the moment we will have the watercolor lesson, I will tell you 1 week in advance, buy this kind of paper, buy this kind of brushes and this kind of color. Yeah, I know, I perfectly know, but we're working on analog objects. Okay. Any other questions, doubts? Okay. No, you can just upload it on Classroom, and you can bring it to class so we can see it together and maybe discuss it. Sorry?
We have until next class to upload it.
No.
We have until next class to upload it.
Yeah. I will put the assignment on Classroom. It is due before Wednesday, or let's say Wednesday, so you have time to see them all. And we can see it together in class next week. But next week we will be working on the structure of a book, and I'm telling you in advance, but I will write it on Classroom. Try to get a magazine, a booklet, I'd say from 24 to 100, 200 pages, because we're doing an exercise on the object that you're going to bring to class. I will write it down on Classroom, but start to think about it, okay?